So I was really wrong. I was really wrong. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to go back over the NAL power rankings that I made at the start of the stage and maybe have a look at how wrong I was. It is not good. So NAL finished yesterday and the whole stage has been absolutely freaking wild. I have been glued to NAL. It's always the region that I watch the most. I'm super passionate about it. And I just didn't predict this. I don't think anyone did. So let's just go straight into it and have a look at just how freaking wrong I was. Okay, so at number 1, I put TSM. Now, you can't really blame me for this. TSM were actually really being spoken about quite a lot as a potential SI winner, but so TSM actually came in 5th place, and there was just something that looked kind of off about them this whole time. I mean, even all the way back in week, what was it, Playday 1, Playday 2, when they lost against Beast Coast, and I did a VOD review of that here on my channel, and it just looked kind of strange. Bolo notably hadn't been playing up to what we would usually expect from him, and it was actually achieved. He was mostly showing up for the team, but to have just as many regulation wins as losses and then just as many overtime wins as losses, TSM basically proved that they're not going to swing one way or the other. They very much deserve to be slap bang in the mid-table. Number 2, I put Dark Zero. Christ. So I actually foresaw there being this really huge growing rivalry between TSM and Dark Zero just because of the performance of both teams, especially in the latter half of last season. I mean, they sure have a rivalry because they were next to each other in the leaderboard anyway. Dark Zero came 6th. And I have to say, I love the whole story that happened between Dark Zero and Mirage in this stage, because you got rid of Hot and Cold at like the last minute. Kind of fucked him over because Dark Zero had pledged to develop this roster of 5 players, and this was a long-term thing, and then suddenly we got an opportunity to pick up another guy. Sorry, Hot and Cold, you're going. And Dark Zero kind of paid the price for it. Now, I don't directly necessarily think that that's because Hot and Gold is gone, but you do have to consider the fact that a new roster iteration, especially when you've had the old one for such a long time, is going to take time to synergize and develop. Now, a lot of the Dark Zero games I didn't get to properly pay attention to because usually they were the last games of the day, which for me is like 3, 4 a.m. Even though I'm still watching them, I'm not fully zoned in. But even so, coming 6th is not what people expected from this team. For number 3, I put Disrupt Gaming, and this is actually the closest one I got to being correct, I think. I basically said I was tentative to put them that high, but they looked promising. The fact that they'd won the NSG Pro-Am was also promising, but there was the risk that they'd given too much away. And DG looked good at the start of the stage, and then I think they had a couple of losses, and then, you know, started to pick back up. And honestly, they came 4th overall. That's really good, especially looking at how this roster were in last season, which wasn't particularly great performance at all. DG have had a glow up. Number 4. I put SSG. Oh, SSG, man. Okay, this is a lot to unpack. So I actually thought that putting SSG in 4th was already underselling them. SSG came 7th, dude. 7th. We all knew that there were going to be problems for SSG to overcome with Canadian's departure. I just think we didn't necessarily see how much of an issue that was going to be. And I can't even put it on Luke. You know, there have been so much of the story for SSG this stage has been about Luke. He's their analyst who had to stand in as an emergency player, a really capable player, and actually really fucking showed up for SSG this stage. I'll be totally honest. Yeah, maybe he wasn't like one of the highest rated players in the region, but he still played like someone who deserved to play in that region. For someone with no competitive experience, that is unbelievable. But it's more the problems that then happened within SSG as a direct result. So from what I understand, it was Bosco who took on most of those hard IGLing responsibilities, and that was kind of reflected in his performance, because I absolutely don't think it's anything to do with Bosco becoming a bad player or anything. Bosco is one of the best flex players that we have in this entire game. But I think when suddenly you have to add such a major responsibility onto the things that you already have to do, your attention is going to be cut. Your ability to perform your regular responsibility is certainly going to be diminished. And I felt quite bad for him, because it probably reflects poorly on him, not to his teammates or his coach. They'll absolutely know what's going on. But to the public, when this is a player who just shouldn't be in that position in the first place. Also, you know, it was very highly discussed that their playstyle reverted to being incredibly slow, which is what it was like before Canadian. It's like the decisiveness of what they were doing really, you know, got minimized, which isn't unexpected. It's just sad how much it let SSG down. Interestingly, I was actually looking at some statistics for SSG the other day. SSG had something like the 4th lowest round win differential, or round win percentage, but they had by far and away the highest entry stats. I think this was just before the last playday. It just goes to show that, like, the actual core skills of the players in SSG, untouched. But their ability to turn that into something valuable and capitalize on it, that's what's been hurt. As have my feelings. Number 5, I predicted OXG. OXG, of course, ended up coming first, which is a story that I was really happy to see. OXG was sort of always the bridesmaid, never the bride, back in the last season, in the 2020 season. Always came in 4th place, pretty much. Had some really talented players that people love to talk about, but can never quite break into that top 3. Whereas now, they're sat at the top, and it's great. It's so nice to see, and especially because, you know, they too made a slight roster change. They brought in Kino, and Kino, hello, really, really good player, really good pickup for them. And all the people who are giving him shit after the last day need to shut the fuck up. And you can tell there's just like a rejuvenation that's happened with them. I don't know. It was just really nice to see. I was so nice to see them break through and up to that top spot. Yeah, wholesome. Number 6, I placed Mirage, and Mirage actually came 3rd. They came 3rd. Mirage was a team where I was basically like, it's kind of hard to tell, because all of the accolades that they've achieved in the past season weren't the same roster. You know, they had to make all these changes when they came down from Canada. So it's entirely different now. And is that going to be enough? Are they going to be synergized? Are they going to be ready? Are they going to show up against, you know, the formerly US division teams? How is this going to go? Well, you know what? It went pretty freaking well. And so much of that can definitely be attributed to Hot and Cold, because of course Mirage was where he found his new home right after Dark Zero dropped him abruptly. And it worked so well. And to have Mirage overtake Dark Zero at the end, oh, chef's kiss, it was so good. Mirage actually faced Dark Zero, Hot and Cold's former team, on the first playday. It went to max OT and they narrowly lost. Then on the last playday, Mirage beating Susquehanna Sonics put them in 3rd place. It kicked Dark Zero out of the top 4, and it was just the best storyline. And I don't want to lean on it too much as like Hot and Cold getting his revenge, because it's very clear through social media that he still sees those guys as his best friends. I don't think there's bad blood at all. So I don't want to try and encourage that kind of attitude, but just, you know, the fact that Dark Zero made the change, think it was better for them, and Mirage had so many doubts shrouding them, and for it to turn out this way, I love it. Number 7, and I feel like I need to apologize for this one, I put the Sonics, and I was even tempted to put them in number 8 when I made the power rankings video. I'm glad I didn't. Sonics really fucking impressed me this stage, and I think they impressed everybody. It was predominantly the core of the old E United squad. So we had Rexon, Kansan, Yeti, and Grixer joining on with Super, who was playing IGL for the team now. And you know what? It worked so fucking good. I was actually going over some stats from the Sonics, and a lot of people give Super shit for the fact that his, you know, kill stats aren't as good as other players on the team and whatever. I don't think they really need to be, especially when he's taking on the IGL role, and whatever is going on in their communications is evidently working. And then you look at players like Grixer, who I think is the only player to have surpassed 100 kills in this stage. absolutely wild performance from him, and actually the cumulative kills between the other 3 players were constantly crisscrossing each other as the stage went on. So they were all very, very close to one another. So you can tell that the roles are where they need to be. You can tell that the players are doing what they need to be. The Fragger is consistently at the top for that kind of thing. The IGL support consistently at the bottom for that kind of thing. The other 3, because they are put in these different situations that require different kind of reactions, they're constantly on top of each other. So it's just really good because it shows there's not one person who's lagging and there's not one person who's overachieving. Everybody in the Sonics seems to be doing the right thing at the right time, and it showed. And the fact that they fell at the last hurdle against Mirage, it's a shame for them because they absolutely could have finished in first place. But to finish in second, even so, is just fantastic. And it's shut a lot of people up, including myself, who have made jokes about, you know, the Sonics being like, we're a top 4 team, we're a top 4 team. Sure, it was a different roster at the time, but yeah, they're a top 4 team, and I want to see what happens with them. Number 8, I put Beast Coast. Beast Coast did come in 8th. I just kind of had some more faith in them. I suppose there were a couple of players on the team who I was impressed by. I mean, Rudy in that first play day really impressed me as well, but they just didn't really seem to show up. There was really something lacking with Beast Coast. Number 9, I put Xset as well, exactly where they came. Although one of the things that I said in that video about Xset at the time was that even if they don't show up, this looks like a team that would have really good branding to lean into that and kind of make a meme out of it. And I do enjoy the branding of Xset. I like that it was always fun to hear about them on the analyst desk, in the broadcast, anything like that. And even when Kix did his bit of kind of shoulder content about Xset, he even said, I see so much promise in this roster. So there was always that glimmer of hope with this team. And I have to say, you know, Thomas, a player who's been spoken about a ton for being a really good IGL. So even though they didn't really perform this stage, it seems there's still faith in this roster, and that makes them exciting. So I was really wrong. I was really wrong about almost all of it, but I was kind of happy to be wrong. I think the story that played out in NAL this stage was so freaking fun that I can't complain, and I am really, really stoked for the next stage. You know, you look at teams such as Sonics or such as DG who aren't going to be at SI, so they don't need to go and attribute all of their attention to preparing for SI. They get like free 2 months to just develop specifically for stage 2, which on one hand, you know, sucks because you want to see them at SI. On the other hand, you don't know how that's going to put them ahead of the game. I'm ready to see, and I am kind of happy to be proven wrong. NAL stage 1 absolutely freaking slapped. Bring on more. And I'm sorry, I'll never make power rankings again.